A couple of months ago I reviewed a couple of kitchen gadgets. Those videos seemed quite popular. Some people asked me to do some more stuff in the kitchen, so here I am. But there's just a little bit of a pointer before we start this video. The last time I reviewed the Hamilton Beach Breakfast Sandwich Maker. It's just a small device that makes a sausage and egg McMuffin type thing. However, in the comments to that video, quite a few people said, why didn't I just use a frying pan? Well, I think we know how a frying pan works, so I'm not going to do a review of that. I mean, the reason I did the Hamilton Beach Breakfast Sandwich Maker is because not everyone has seen one, and some people might be interested to know how it works. Similarly, in this video, if you were being as equally ludicrous in your comments, you could put something like, why didn't I just use a knife? Because most of the things in this video could be replicated with a knife, apart from maybe the bit at the end. But I'm not going to review a knife, I'm going to review some gadgets. So let's get on with the show and have a look at some stuff. In this video I'm going to be making chips. Now this is what we call chips in the UK. I'm aware in other countries you call them French fries or pommes frites, but because we call them chips here, that's what I call them. Don't be too surprised that different countries have different words for the same thing. It's not that amazing. Right, now these are the potatoes that I'm going to be using. They need to have a bit of a wash, so I'll just wash those off in the sink first. Right, we're ready to go. Now what I'm going to use first is a couple of different devices to peel them with. So this is the first one that I'm trying out. I got this off eBay. There's links to all these things in the video description, by the way. This runs on 4 AA batteries, which doesn't inspire you with confidence. A kitchen device like this running on batteries seems a little bit flimsy, but let's have a look. So there it is, sort of a plasticky device. The batteries go in the bottom here underneath this flap, so I'll just put those in. There's also another flap on the bottom with 2 spare blades for the device, and the blade's that red thing on the end of that arm there. So what we do is we put the potato on the spikes at the bottom, push it down, then this spike at the top gets pushed down into the top of the potato, and the idea is that the red bit works its way from the top to the bottom, peeling off the skin. A little bit like an old cylinder record player, I think. You just push that in there, and the needle, or should I say the blade, is working its way down. But hold on a minute, Houston, we have a problem. It's not quite doing what it's supposed to do, so let's just stop it and go back to the beginning again. I must have done something wrong. And I had, what I was supposed to do, put a bit of pressure on the arm so that it cuts into the potato a bit more at the beginning, and then it just carries on like that. So I'll just put some pressure on there. You can see now proper peels coming off there, and it's working its way down. So now that I know what I'm doing, let's do another one properly from the beginning. So we'll switch it on and put a bit of pressure on the arm so it's going into the potato. And now we can just let go and let it get on with itself. And it's doing a very good job there, really. Working its way down to the bottom, taking all the skin off in one long strand. Now it's a pretty noisy thing. It takes about 30 seconds to do a potato as well, which isn't amazingly quick, but it's quite entertaining to watch, I think. The only thing is, once you remove the potato, you're aware that the top and the bottom of the potato haven't been peeled. So you have to finish those bits off yourself in the traditional manner with a potato peeler. So maybe you should have just used that in the first place. But anyway, let's move on to something else. This looks a bit more professional. It's a potato peeler from Pifco, a name that you should be familiar with. It's been going an awful long time. So hopefully this will do the job a little bit better and more efficiently. Now let's just have a look at it here. All it is one of these sort of discs with that grating stuff on, you know, like you sort of grate a carrot or something. And basically all that does is peel off the edge of the potato. It spins round, and that's it. It's just a bowl and a spinny thing. Very simple, and an on and an off button on the front of it. Now underneath this one of course runs off the mains, so it has a power lead in here which is neatly stored in the bottom, but the only thing is you have trouble closing the door on the bottom of that because those suction cup feet get in the way of the door. Now the reason it has suction cup feet is because it moves around quite a bit, I think, so you have to push it down to your counter. So you've got to make sure you got one of those counters that suction cups will stick to. You put water in up to the fill level, which isn't very far, in the bottom. I've put 4 normal size potatoes in here, and then the lid clips on there, and then all you have to do is wait for 2 minutes after starting it and then switch it off again. So let's switch it on. Would have helped if I'd switched it on at the wall, and there we go, it's off and running. Now this is a bit of a thing, isn't it? It's jumping around like a nutcase. It reminds me of that thing where the bloke shoved a brick inside his washing machine and it blew up. But notice it's kind of got a bit stuck here. One of the potatoes must have got jammed and they're not spinning round properly. Now maybe I'm using potatoes that are too big here, but they didn't look too big to me. They look kind of normal sized. So we've got a bit of a problem here. Let's switch it off and just get inside there and unjam whatever's jammed. So it's not that one. It's that one at the back, just shoved between the edge and the centre bit there. So we can try that again. We'll just put that potato back in there, put the lid back on again, getting a bit messy now of course, and switch the on button. And there we go, it's off and running. But look at all the sort of foam, and it's all popping out the lid as well for some reason. So I'm pushing the lid down here, just thinking maybe I haven't got it on right, but I have. It's on properly, but still, there's stuff flying out all over the show. Looks a bit like something off The Exorcist. And then by the time it's finished, my worktop's a bit of a mess. So let's switch it off anyway and have a look how well it's peeled those potatoes inside. Well, they're alright, there's a couple of little marks on there, but maybe that's because I switched it off halfway through and didn't give it long enough. My 2 minutes got a bit confusing when I had to take it apart. But there's loads of sort of foam and stuff in here. It's a bit messy, but it does seem to have kind of done the job. But it really has left quite a bit of a mess behind here. You notice there's quite a bit on the worktop there, big puddle of water, foam everywhere. So not a very neat and simple solution to peeling potatoes, this one. Maybe I did something wrong though, maybe it's my fault. Notice, by the way, there's liquid all over the top of the machine there. So I had to wash everything out in the sink. It didn't take long to wash, it's just sort of fluff and foam really, and then put it all back together again. So let's try it again. This time, I'm not washing the potatoes properly. I just quickly rinsed them, but I didn't sort of scrub them in the sink because I thought, well, the thing seems to be scrubbing stuff anyway. So let's let it clean those from this state, and we'll just see how it goes. Now, these are smaller potatoes, so they shouldn't get stuck. But notice, it's still bouncing around all over the place like a broken washing machine. And look at all the foam flying out of the sides there. I was a little bit concerned it was going to get into my camera lens and damage it, but it seems to have got everywhere else. But anyway, we'll switch it off. This was 2 minutes later, by the way. I jumped forward a bit in time there. And this is the end result. So the potatoes are very well peeled. It does a decent job at peeling them. You can't argue with that. But it's noisy. It's messy. There's foam everywhere. So a bit of a disaster, this one. And that time I definitely did everything right. I made sure it was all put together properly. Anyway, regardless, we've now got our peeled potatoes. So what's the next step? Well, we need to chip them, of course. So I'm going to use this chipper. Now, there's loads of these for sale on eBay. I bought this cheap one. It seems to be the same as the ones offered at 2, 3, 4 times the price, because there only seems to be one of these being made by the looks of it. It's a stainless steel type thing. It comes with a second cutting bit here, which means you can cut smaller fries type thin chips as opposed to the fatter ones that it cuts normally. So all you have to do with this, of course, put a potato in the back, shove the handle down. It's quite a firm thing, that, and then the potato should pop out the end. It doesn't quite fly out, it seems to get a little bit stuck there, but regardless, it's doing a pretty decent job. It doesn't do large potatoes like that one though. Of course, those you just have to cut in half and feed them through in halves. But regardless, it's a pretty decent thing, this. I mean, it's not exactly a gadget as such, but I thought, what can I do at this point rather than just use a knife? So this is why I've got hold of this. Let's just try it with some of those, doing some of those fries. You have to change both bits. There's a bit at the back and the front because, of course, it has to match up with the holes and push them through. So we'll try that again, do some of these thinner chips, or fries, I should say. And there you go, those pop out there like that. So a little bit fiddly, but an awful lot quicker than using a knife, and now I've got more chips than I could ever eat in a day, so I'll just cook some of those inside my Tfal Actifry, which is this thing here. Now, it's a very simple device, this, but it works really well. All you do is fill some oil, cooking oil, into that little green spoon there, and it just spins some potatoes around and cooks them up. The arm is in the middle of that non-stick part there, which is a pan that comes out. It just clips into there, and that just swirls around, moves the chips around in front of a heated sort of fan element, which is this bit at the back here. So it blows hot air across your chips, recirculates that through that bit at the bottom, and it just spins them around till they're cooked. This top part, by the way, that comes unclipped as well. Easy to wash that if you need to, but to be honest, it hardly ever gets any fat on it at all. It's a very clean device, this one, very simple. So we'll put that pan back in there, put the handle down, and throw our potatoes in there. Our chipped potatoes. Right, now all we need to cook all those is just that little bit of oil there. There's a couple of marks in there. You can have a sort of halfway or a full one depending on how big your load of chips is. This isn't so many, so I'm just sort of doing it 2/3 of the way up. Press the on button. Now it's quite noisy again. It's a little bit like having a hairdryer going in your kitchen, and it just, all it does is spin that arm round in the middle and blow the hot air over your chips. You wouldn't imagine that it could actually work, but it does. It's got a timer on the back here. I'll put that up to 30 minutes and we'll come back at 30 minutes time, which is now, by the way, because I've moved forward in time. And 3, 2, 1. It's got a little alarm that goes off. It doesn't stop it working, it doesn't turn off or anything. It's just a standard kitchen timer. Now looking at those, they're not quite ready. I think they need another 5 minutes, but the good thing with this is, of course, you've got a nice clear lid and you can see exactly when the chips are being cooked to the state that you like them. So they're just about ready now, so I'll switch it off. And we'll just tip them out into this white plate here so you can see them properly, and it's as simple as that. And it cooks really dry, crisp, nice hot chips. Perfect. Right, what have we learned today? Well, the first thing I learned is that the anti-reflective coating on my glasses doesn't seem to work very well, so sorry about the reflections. But as far as chips go, well, I already knew the Tfal Actifry was very good. I've been using this for about 6 months and I really like it. Before I got this, I wasn't really having chips that often because, of course, they're not particularly good for you, greasy, all that kind of stuff. And I was using oven chips whenever I did, which are very thick in grease, I think, inside the packet. You can feel it when you get them out. The Actifry, of course, just uses that one tiny spoon of grease. Now, the fact it takes 30 to 40 minutes to make chips seems a little bit odd, but it isn't out of keeping with the time it takes for oven chips to get made. So if you're happy with the time it takes to cook oven chips, you'll be happy with this. Stick your chips on at the beginning, cook the rest of the tea maybe 5 minutes in or something like that. So this is very good. By the way, I didn't mention, it's all plastic this, the top bit. It comes off, and if any of the other bits break, you can get them replaced. So it's a very good system, that. Quite expensive though, maybe about £100 in the UK. This thing, the Pifco peeler, now I thought that was going to be pretty good, and to be honest, it does peel the potatoes very well, but at the same time it also creates a big foam party in your house. So if you wanted to make a big event out of peeling potatoes, invite a lot of people round, foam everywhere, that'd be fine. But to be honest, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted it to peel potatoes. Creates too much mess. I don't really know what was going on. I tried it a couple of times, same results both times. Very messy and sort of just a bit odd really, so can't really recommend that one. Now this thing, I didn't really think this was going to work. I mean, it looks pathetic, doesn't it? It looks like a cheap piece of plastic junk, and to be honest, it is. It does run on DC 9 volt, or 6 volt I should say, as well as the batteries, but it doesn't come with the adapter in the box. However, when you put the potato on there, it is very fiddly getting it on, messing around with these top bits here, moving them up and down, that kind of thing. But once you get it on, it does do a surprisingly good job of peeling them. But the only problem is that you have to top and tail them at the end. And then finally, the chipper. Well, there's not much to say about that. Put a potato in, shove it, chips come out the other end, although it's a really good way of getting those fries if you want the nice thin chips, because I don't think there's much of a way of doing that by hand without getting them all at different sort of shapes and lengths and things. So if you want uniform fries, then maybe that's the thing to get. So overall, out of these two things, the chipper, that's pretty good. Doesn't cost too much either. The Actifry, I'd definitely recommend one of those if you ever want to have chips in your house and you don't want to be using a chip pan because it's not 1975, and you don't want to use oven chips because you want to live beyond about 50. Other than that, these two things, I'd probably recommend staying away from those. Bit pointless. Anyway, that's it for the moment. Thanks for watching. So just a reminder, if you want to buy any of the things that you've seen in this video, there's links in the video description. But like that baldy bloke just said, for the moment, thanks for watching.